Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and Merry Christmas everybody. It is Christmas Day 2018. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. I'm going to be attempting to look at Merry Christmas Everybody, the track from 1983 by Slade. This is the track that certainly in the UK just comes on the radio and then it's Christmas. So that means it's officially started. Hopefully this video is going to be okay. I've never done a track that hasn't been live before, so this is going to be the recorded version of Slade, and it's going to be a Top of the Pops performance that we'll be looking at. So people over in the USA and other countries that might not know what Top of the Pops is, you'll start to get a good vibe of what it is from this video, but let's check it out. I'm just going to jump in here just to comment on the whole Top of the Pops thing and the fact that all they used to do was play the record, the track that you actually bought, and the artist would just mime along to it. Famously, that's where a band called Nirvana, who I've done before, then pretended to play their instruments, and actually they just had blow-up instruments because they wanted to play live, but that's not the way that Top of the Pops worked. But you can see here that certainly Noddy Holder's guitar playing, it's a very relaxed attitude with that right hand, not even strumming the strings, just kind of touching them, not really doing a lot, but at least he's got the chord shapes in, and here you can see he's playing a D there, and this is a classic example, just 4 chords and just a repetitive chorus, but just something that absolutely hooks you in. And this is why it's so difficult, and it's the holy grail, being able to write hits, because nobody knows what the formula is. There's no formula for writing a hit, else whoever owned that would be the wealthiest person in the world. And this is just a great example of having a really simple chord progression, focusing on melody, and not being really top technical players, and not melting your face trying to play a million notes a second. It is all about something that connects to an audience. And if you can write a melody that people can sing back themselves, or they can hum in their heads when they're walking around, then that is the half of it. You've got to have something that is memorable, and even to a certain extent, guitar solos as well. And all the big hits have always got a really simple melody line for the chorus, so you don't have to be a really technically gifted singer in order to repeat it. More often than not, a crowd can chant back the chorus to the singer at a live gig. And exactly the same thing happens with guitar playing as well, and guitar solos. Often the best guitar solos are the ones that people want to sing, and they can hum them when they're walking around town and doing other things. And if you have a really top technical solo, it is very difficult for people to then be able to hum that, because there's too much going on for the brain to process, or even for you to make your vocal cords change that quickly to replicate that sound. So something that's slower and more melodic is going to connect with more people, or with more people's brains. Just a case in point, probably the most repeated riff or song riff of modern times is Seven Nation Army by Jack White. And I'm not comparing Jack White with Slade, just before people start commenting, but that riff that's in Seven Nation Army, you hear it all the time. It's in football matches when the team scores a goal, it's at rugby games, you name the sport, the crowd are probably singing that riff when it's been played over the speaker system. But because that riff is so simple and so melodic, it sticks in people's heads and it's easy to repeat. And that is the secret. In order to reach a lot of people haven't got great vocal ability. So if you can throw something at them that they can then start to repeat, almost in a shouting kind of way, then it's absolutely ideal. And that riff was a great example of that. It's almost a shouting quality that Noddy's got in his vocal when he gets into that chorus. So you want to join in because you want to emulate the track. And when you hear the track in your head, if you shout along to it, you almost sound like you're singing the track for real. Of course, Noddy's got great control of his vocals, and he's got a really unique vocal as well. The way that he leans into that sound and applies that grit, it means that we've got a really strange mix here of almost a hard rock / metal vocal over the top of a pop song or a pop progression. And that's why it works so well, because it stands out. Most people, if they're writing this song, they would have had a vocalist who was nowhere near the sound that Noddy could have produced. And that's why it's so unique and it sounds so great when you put those elements together. Let's get into a little bit more.
Are you sure you got the room to spare inside? Does your granny always tell you that the old songs are the best? And she's up along and rolling with the rest. So here it is, Merry Christmas, everybody's having fun. Look to the future now, it's only just begun. What will your daddy do when he sees your papa kissing Santa Claus? Are you hanging up a stocking on your wall?
And just a quick word on the chord progressions we've got going on here and the overall makeup of the track, because it is really strict. There's no way of writing a hit and getting a set fire hit all the time, but you can start to at least apply some blocks from other hits, and generally you'll have that verse, chorus, mid, late chorus, and that is the setup that you have. So then a lot of people obviously will then start to write with putting those exact same things in exactly the same places, hoping that that's going to give them a hit. Unfortunately, you need something that's got a hell of a lot of melodic content in there in order to connect with people listening to it. Let's get back into the track.
Are you hoping that the snow will start to fall? Do you ride on down the hillside in a buggy you have made? When you land upon your hand and you enslaved. So here it is, Merry Christmas, everybody's having fun. Look to the future now, it's only just begun. So here it is, Merry Christmas, everybody's having fun. Look to the future now, it's only just begun. So here it is, Merry Christmas, everybody's having fun. It's great. Look to the future now, it's only just begun.
And there we have it. I love at the end of the track the total disregard for playing the instruments. The instruments aren't even plugged in, but just the way that Noddy's playing there is holding a D for the whole chorus. But just going into the vocals as well, just at the end there, that vocal hook of that very last "It's Christmas," like Everybody knows that melody at the end. Just as a reference point vocally, that's an E5 and a D5. That's above high C. That's a D and E above high C in the male tenor range. So it's way up there. So really impressive range on the record when they actually got it down. I'm sure he just said, right, I'm just going to go for this and just nailed it. But fantastic vocal hook as well. Everybody knows that and everybody's waiting for that at the end of the track. Again, one of the problems live that if you're not having a good vocal day, everyone's waiting for that vocal hook. But it's great to have that on a track. All the big hits are just littered with hooks. Here we've got a great vocal hook. But there are other tracks where you have instrumental hooks as well, where the singer stops singing and then you might have a guitar riff or a guitar line before the singer then starts up again. And that little memorable guitar line between the two vocals, that's just a little hook to keep you interested by the time that the next vocal comes in. So it's great to hear a classic Christmas song on Christmas Day. Hopefully this will be okay. This is the first time I've ever looked at a track that hasn't been a live version of a track and has been the recorded version. But we will see. Hopefully, if you're still watching this, then it's all okay. I hope you've all had a fantastic Christmas and I'll see you guys at the next video. Rock!